Hey, hello leaders, and welcome back to another video version of my daily podcast, Run to Your Challenges or Run to Your Leadership Challenges. Today, or this whole week, the rest of the week, I'm going to be covering my key takeaways from a conference that I just attended last week in beautiful San Diego. So I'm going to hit record and we're going to get after it. Again, this is the video version of the daily recording of the podcast. So you will see my bloopers and my mistakes, and you'll get some extra value at the end. So let's get after it. Hello leaders, and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. I just spent last week in beautiful San Diego at Social Media Marketing World 19. And the rest of the week, I just got to share my biggest takeaways from a leader's perspective. Now, if you're wondering why I attended a social media marketing conference, well, because number one, it's probably the best conference or one of the best conferences that I've ever attended. The networking at this conference is simply amazing. And number two, I believe that leaders must be engaged and up to speed on the latest, greatest social media trends and the things that are going on if they want to stay connected with their people. After all, your people are on social media. So if you know what's going on and you know the latest and greatest, you can keep up to speed with them and you can connect with them. So let's get right after it. Now, instead of me doing a countdown this week from 5 to 1 or 4 to 1, whatever, I'm starting off with my number one biggest takeaway. And it came from the closing keynote speaker, Mr. Mark W. Schaefer. Now, Mark gave an electric speech. And man, he started out in the beginning with this powerful video and music and sound, and it was cool, right? And honestly, I had about 10 big takeaways from his closing keynote, but my overall takeaway came from his final slide, and that was my overall takeaway from the entire conference. Let me explain why. You see, this was not Now, let me explain why this was my number one key. Now, before I continue, let me explain why this was my number one key takeaway. And you see, this was not only my number one key takeaway for what needs to be applied to social media, I believe this was my number one takeaway for the entire conference because I think we all need to apply this in our leadership in general, today more than ever. You see, Mark's final slide had 3 simple words on it, and they were be more human. That's it. Be more human. You see, social media isn't the only form of media that has alienated itself from the humanistic approach. Leadership seems to be going down a similar path. I mean, we're doing video calls, we're doing email feedback, we're doing all kinds of stuff. We're reaching out to our people through social media instead of having those one-on-one, face-to-face conversations. I mean, there are leaders who only care about themselves nowadays, who don't really know what their people are doing outside of work, who don't know what their people's favorite hobbies are, or how many kids their people might have, or even they don't even know if their people are married in some cases. Sorry. So it's time for us to be more human, not only on social media, but in our leadership roles as well. No matter how big or small your role, no matter how big or small of a leadership role that you hold. You see, at the very core, we are all leaders to a certain degree. Let's all take a bigger interest in our fellow human beings that are right next to us. Let's show them that we care. Let's have those face-to-face conversations. Let's go out of our way to say hello and goodbye and asking how our day was or how our weekend was. Hey, on a side note, I am super psyched to tell you that my mastermind that I advertised last week have filled up, and I even have several extra people. So I've decided to open a second group or a second mastermind, and there are, I think, 4 seats left. So if you're interested in being one of the 10 people in this second mastermind group that I'll be leading, shoot me an email at Paul Grau, that's PaulGrau at currentleadershipcoaching.com. And be sure to do it today. As far as the price, well, that's the good news. I'm offering scholarships to cover 100% of the cost of this 4-week mastermind. If you've never been in a mastermind, this is a great place to start because it's no obligation to you. It is totally free. The only cost out of your pocket will be to buy the book that we're going to be covering. So when I last checked, there was 4 slots left. I think there was 3 or 4. So be sure to email me and I'll get you the details as soon as possible. And by the way, if you've already emailed me, you're in, okay? So let's celebrate. The group begins on April 23rd. Hey, that's a wrap for today. As always, thanks for listening. And until tomorrow, run to your challenges. Okay, so that's a wrap of the recording. I'll edit that down to about 2 to 3 minutes. But let me talk a little bit more about this Be More Human thing. You know, I was introduced to Mark via reading his book a couple years ago, and it was called Born to Blog. And you know, the book was really good. The book got me into blogging, and it really started shaping my blog, I think, and my writing style. But to tell you the truth, I didn't know what to expect when I heard that Mark Schaefer was keynoting because, you know, I just didn't know what to expect. I'd never heard him talk before. But I'm telling you what, he was great. This powerful opening of the video, and it was a lot of good sound and loud and flashes, and man, it was really good. And he worked up through these, what he called these 3 rebellions, all right? And he says now that we're on the 3rd rebellion. So the first one was about the advertisers just basically lying to people to get their attention. The second one was this, how we're marketing to the masses, and we really aren't personalizing it, but we're just getting the word out, and that's what it is, get millions and millions of followers. And now he says it's more about getting more human, being more human, and really connecting with your followers. And it's pretty cool because that's my whole point of doing this video. The video is not as good as the 2 or 3 minute podcast that you can listen to, and it has all the bloopers as you can see from today. But I want you to see that because I'm far from being human. I'm far from being the perfect leader. And, you know, we all are learning leadership every day. And it's something that I consider to be a lifelong learning process. So today, that's all I want to say is be more human. Start to get to know your people more. All right? Reach out to them. Man, invite your team over for dinner or out to dinner. You can all go where you all, you know, pay your own way. You don't have to pay for the whole team, but take them out to dinner every once in a while. Do it on a rotating basis if you want. Invite 2 or 3 people over to your house in waves. Now you got to be careful about that because, you know, if you invite one person over and another person, but announce right in the beginning, hey, I want to invite, you know, 3 or 4 couples over to my house at a time, and have them sign up. That way you have 3 or 4. You don't have 1 or 2 couples that you're continuously inviting over. Have a picnic. Man, we're getting to be the nice time of the year here. I know up north you probably are shoveling snow, but down here, man, the flowers are all bursting out. The leaves are all coming out. Beautiful weather. It's a good time to get out and have it at a local picnic place near the office, or, you know, have it some evening, whatever, but get out. I mean, take them to a ball game, you know, just get out and enjoy yourselves and get to know your people, you know, and this applies in driving too, you know, bumper to bumper. Sometimes we forget that there's another human being in front of us, even though they might be ticking us off and getting underneath our skin and going too slow or something. Just realize, you know, if you were standing in the grocery line and somebody was ticking you off right in front of you, would you be honking your horn at them? No, right? Well, it's the same thing in your car. Don't hide in your car and be aggressive or something. That's another person. It's another human being. Hey, I've rambled long enough, so I'm going to end it right there. Thanks for listening, and until tomorrow, you know what to do. Run to your challenges. See you later.